Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Saturday, December 22nd, 2018. Want to review some headlines from yesterday and today and show you why the news stories that we're getting across the world are coming at the time they're coming in the week of Saturnalia, the ancient Roman festival. We're going to talk about the market's worst week in the United States since 2008. The week of the economic crisis. We're going to talk about why the government shutdown has happened in the week of Saturnalia. We have Wall Street collapsing. We have a government shutdown over a dispute about the border wall. Again, Donald Trump announced as the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, a big theme in his presidency. From the time he began running up until the present, two big wall stories coming in the time of Saturnalia. We're going to go back and review what was so significant about Trump's campaign for the presidency. We're going to talk about the resignation of the envoy to the ISIS fight for Donald Trump, why this came during the week of Saturnalia on the back of the Mad Dog Mattis resignation. Excuse me. Also, some new information in the Christmas market attack in Strasbourg, France. Christmas, Saturnalia, interrelated celebrations coming around the time of the winter solstice. And got another observation about Ginsburg and her cancer removal that we didn't cover yesterday. Plus, we have the latest on who's responsible for the Gatwick airport closure and what they called the drone chaos. So let's come back and start here. The Dow's worst week since 2008. Market had a very terrible week. Saturnalia began Monday, December 17th. It goes through December 23rd. That's tomorrow, Sunday. On Friday, the last week, or the last day of the market week, the Dow closed down 414 points. You see that? The Dow closed 414 points down, or 1.8% lower on Friday. And for the entire week, the Dow lost 6.9% of its market value. 10 years ago in 2008, when they had the economic crisis, the market went down 8.4%. So a little bit more. And we know how special the number 84 is, right? We cover that all the time. If you haven't read my book, whole lot to know about the number 84. But with regards to this week, it being down 6.9% and closing down 414 points on the final day of the week, there's a relationship here. Look at Saturn in gematria. Again, this is the week of Saturnalia to celebrate Saturn. Saturn has a gematria value of 69. And in the times 6 cipher, where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, Saturn's 414. So down 414 points and 6.9% for the week of Saturnalia. This is not an accident. Countless times we've shown how the market, the numbers reported, they're a manipulation in tribute to the date. It's all ritual, it's all numerology, and it also incorporates astrology. This is the knowledge the elites work by and manipulate the world by. This is how history repeats itself. So Saturnalia, it's the big theme here. The government shutdown. It begins on this same day that Wall Street has its worst week and its very terrible Friday. The government shutdown is over the dispute about the border wall. And who is the wall with? Mexico, right? Mexico. So let's go over our 4 base ciphers real quick. We'll start with Saturn and then we'll talk about Mexico. The 4 base ciphers, the alphabetic order, where Saturn is 93, that's where A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. The next cipher is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So A still 1, B still 2, C still 3, but when you get to double-digit letters, you take the numerology of the letter. So notice when I put in A, it's 1 and 1. When I put in B, it's 2 and 2. Where it's going to change is J. J is the 10th letter. The numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. K, the 11th letter. K is 11. 1 plus 1, the numerology is 2. L, the 12th letter, 1 plus 2 is 3. When you go up to Z, the 26th letter, it's 2 plus 6 is 8. You just make each letter a single-digit number. And it's important that Saturn's 21 because 21 is the 6th triangular number, meaning when you add 1 through 6 together, it equals 21. Saturn's the 6th planet from the sun. We talked about how dice equals 21. Alphabetic order and rules of numerology because it's all just single-digit letters. But again, think about dice. 6 sides, the cube represents Saturn. For the record, the word cube has gematria of 13. That's the 6th prime number. Anyway, the cube symbolizes Saturn because it has 6 sides. Saturn's the 6th planet from the sun. So we covered the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. The next 2 ciphers, the reverse alphabetic order, making Z1, counting back to A is 26, and the last ciphers, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So when we started with Saturn 69, with both ordinal ciphers, there's a complementary cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. So 69 times 6, that's where we got the 414 value. But anyway, these are our ciphers. So Saturn with the alphabetic order is 93, and now we have a crisis over shutting down the border with a wall, a big dispute in government, funding for the wall. Look at Mexico, 9369, like Saturn, 9369. See how this works? Wall Street, border wall. Donald Trump announced as the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall's 45. I want you to see that the word ritual has gematria of 27 and 45 because Donald Trump was announced as the 45th president-elect on the 27-year anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, 45. See how that works? So you're seeing how these themes come together, perfectly coordinated. Notice that this Friday, it was a date with 51 numerology, and the government couldn't come to a vote to stop the shutdown on this day, so it shut down at midnight, which was the beginning of December 22nd, 2018, the first day of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So these were dates with 51 and 52 numerology. And again, federal is 51. Government has this gematria of 52. So does authority. Authority's 52. President's 52. White House is 52. The Cabal is 52. Kabbalah is 52. Gematria is 52. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, which comes from Kabbalah, which is where the nickname the Cabal is derived from, which is essentially the secret political faction, the secretive authority, which is what we're all ruled over across the world. This is the New World Order. By the way, NWO for another 52. Talked about these numbers a lot with the death of Barbara Bush and George Herbert Walker Bush. If you missed that work, go back and check it out. So anyhow, it's all news by the numbers, and it's perfectly synced with the week of Saturnalia. Now, with regards to Trump and Saturn, we've been talking about this since Election Day, because actually we've been talking about it even before then. We pointed out somewhere along the way when he was campaigning that from the beginning of Trump's campaign, which started June 16, 2015, to Election Day, which was November 8th, he was announced as the 45th president-elect in the early hours of November 9th. But from the day he announced his campaign to Election Day was 511 days later. And this is another number that relates to Saturn in the Jewish cipher. Many times we've talked about Saturn and 511 and how it comes together with the other relevant numbers that we've already talked about. Case in point, look up what day Bob Marley died. Bob Marley died May 11th, a date that can be written 511. Bob Marley with the alphabetic order is 93, just like Saturn. Rastafari, also 93. Bob Marley, a Rastafari. Rastafari carries that gematria 69 like Saturn as well. Not an accident that Bob Marley died on May 11th. I'll just show this here real quick. Many examples we've covered over the years, bringing Saturn and its multiple numbers together, just as we've already done in this video. All of these ciphers matter. Outside of the base ciphers, the next most important cipher is Jewish gematria. Missed my work on Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Jacob Miller. They've all been killed by these ritualistic patterns. So anyway, not an accident that Trump, who's had his worst week as president during the week of Saturnalia, also had a campaign that corresponded with the numbers of Saturn. Again, Saturn is the keeper of time. Saturn's connected to death and judgment. In a moment, we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who became a member of the Supreme Court in the year 93. Remember, there's a whole lot of other riddles with Trump's campaign, but one of the big ones were the numbers of Saturn. Very important to the occult. The keeper of time. So what an amount of days, a measurement in time to have his campaign run for. Now, here's another story. This story emerged today. Supposedly, this man resigned yesterday following in the lead of General Mattis. And this man was the envoy to the ISIS fight, which is a numerical ritual in numbers ongoing. ISIS is nothing but propaganda, an excuse for Western powers to wage war in the region of the world with all the strategic resources from oil to opium. But look at this. Brett McGurk, and had to look up his birthday. He's got the Adolf Hitler birthday, April 20th, the 110th day of the year. Adolf Hitler equals 110, so does president. But notice, Brett McGurk's 45 years old, like how Trump's number 45. From his birthday to his resignation, which was yesterday, Friday, was 35 weeks on the nose. Now, here's why this matters. His surname, McGurk, equals 35. Saturnalia equals 35. Saturnalia goes back to Rome, the time of the Catholic Church, where the Catholics were indoctrinating the pagans to their own religion, adopting the pagan traditions, symbols. Saturnalia is a pagan festival. Again, why it comes during the time of the winter solstice. Why modern Christians celebrate Jesus' birthday in the time of the ancient pagan tradition. But anyway, just notice how the numbers come together. McGurk 35, Saturnalia 35. I make the Catholic point. Don't forget the only Catholic president ever was JFK number 35. By the way, here's why you want to know all the ciphers. JFK number 35, dead at age 46. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. But anyway, just what are the odds? He resigns in Saturnalia. He was part of this ISIS fight, and there's a connection between ISIS and Saturn. Isis is the oldest daughter of Saturn in ancient mythology. So here's a little note. This is from Albert Pike, the Freemason who has the statue holding his text, Morals and Dogma in Washington, D.C. Here's an excerpt from that book. Diodorus writes of a famous inscription carved on a column at Nisa in Arabia, wherein Isis described herself as follows: I am Isis, queen of this country. I was instructed by Mercury. No one can destroy the laws which I have established. I am the eldest daughter of Saturn, most ancient of the gods. I am the wife and sister of Osiris the king. I first made known to mortals the use of wheat. I am the mother of Horus, the king. In my honor was the city of Bubaste built. Rejoice. So just think about it. In this week of Saturnalia, Donald Trump announces he's pulling out the troops from Syria, where we've been supposedly fighting ISIS. Let's not forget that Syria is this ancient biblical land. Supposedly the original Christians are the Christians of Antioch, which made their home in Syria. All of this knowledge, it's all biblical. It's all biblical riddle. Saturn's so important in the Bible as well. But just think about it. The week of Saturnalia, we get this surprise announcement that we're coming out of Syria, where we've been fighting ISIS. Then General Mad Dog Mattis is pissed off. Now we got the lead guy in the administration who's helped fighting this guy against fighting this fight against ISIS, resigning. All of this stuff is nothing but riddle and ritual. Can't say it enough times. And this is exactly what we've been talking about for 5 years. But the more we research it, the better we understand it, the more we know the code. Look at this guy's name, Brett McGurk. Look at the 138, the 48, the 159. I want to type in the name Donald Trump. Donald Trump, Brett McGurk. Look at this. Is that big enough? Let me zoom it in more. How perfect is that? You know, how many people does Donald Trump have in his administration that have the same type of name gematria as him? You know, Paul Manafort, so many others that we've talked about over the years. Remember, Scottish Rite equals 159. The Scottish Rite is headquartered in Washington, D.C. George Washington was a Scottish Rite Freemason. Freemason sums to 48 in Hebrew and English. Federal equals 138. And with regards to that 48, don't just forget that with the alphabetic order, wall equals 48. The wall, a big theme here. This resignation comes on the very bad day for Wall Street, day of the government shutdown over the wall. All a little bit too perfect. His name, McGurk, is 73 and 35, and if you noticed, he was born in 73 as well. Saturnalia also has that gematria of 73, for just one more note. All right, so I think we've established those points. Another comical headline relating to ISIS. We covered how the shooting at the Christmas market in France, the same day as the church shooting in Brazil, was New World Order, news by the numbers, by the same connected theme of numbers. Go back and see those videos if you missed them. We talked about how 2 days later, when they shot the Christmas market attacker, it was more news by the numbers. And now, on the first day of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, which is related to ISIS, we get this story, that the Strasbourg market attacker had pledged his allegiance to ISIS. And I predicted the day of the shooting that this would be blamed on ISIS. We haven't heard about ISIS for a while. They got to bring it back. You know, all these things travel in cycles. But notice, December 22nd, 18, the day of today's news, that this guy pledged his loyalty to ISIS. ISIS is 52, terrorist is 52. Don't forget, government is 52. The original definition of terrorism is government by intimidation, which is exactly what we have. Look at what day they killed Osama bin Laden, May 2nd, 5/2. And I'll remind you that from the day that Obama took office, I'll just go back and show you this. I'll just go back and show you. Obama took office January 20th, 2009, right? The election was in 2008. To the day that Osama was killed, if you count the full span, 119 weeks on the nose. Obama takes office, Osama gets killed, 119 weeks. How does the majority of the world write the date September 11th? They write it 11/9, like 119. And in case you didn't know this before, that's why you got to read my book. Osama bin Laden's father's date of death. If you don't know that, if you don't know this, Osama bin Laden's father died in a plane crash, supposedly, on September 3rd, 1967. Think about the 93 World Trade Center bombing. Think about the new building there, the One World Trade Center. Think about Flight 93. In the 9/11 Commission report, it says the first plane hit at 9:03 a.m., even though you can see on news media and the footage showing that it hit at 9:02. Anyway, September 3rd leaves 119 days left in the year. September 3rd leaves 119 days. See that? These riddles. 119 is a very special number. All-seeing eyes, 119. See how Saturn's 93 with the alphabetic order? There's a cipher where capital letters matter. It's called Francis Bacon. See, if I don't uppercase the S, it's still 93. But what you do for each uppercase letter is you add plus 26. So Saturn also has this gematria of 119. And think about how the sign of Capricorn which is ruled by Saturn, goes until January 19th, another 119 date. So anyway, all throughout history, these riddles and all of the numbers are interrelated, you know, and oftentimes it pays tribute to Saturn because Saturn is considered the greatest of the gods to the occult in terms of, you know, astrotheology. Saturn is also the god of the Old Testament, El, where this code comes from. It's like how Saturnalia begins on December 17th. El, the god of the Old Testament, 17. God also has this gematria 17. I want to show you something though. One World Trade Center, gematria 93, you know, where they replaced the World Trade Center buildings that were destroyed on 9/11. They called it ground zero there. Prior to 9/11, the only definition of ground zero was the place above or below the Earth's surface where an atomic or nuclear weapon detonated. Think about the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project, the World Trade Center is in New York. Atomic bomb has that gematria 93. They dropped it on Japan 93. You know, New York has the connection to 93. Anyway, getting a little tangential, but at the same time, it's all related. It's all related. It's the same repetitive coding of numbers again and again all throughout history. Just in case you missed the video on Mad Dog Mattis, want to review what you might have missed. From his birthday to his resignation, 103 days later. 103 is the 27th prime. He resigned over us withdrawing from Syria. Syria 27 like ritual. James N. Mattis is the 26th Secretary of Defense. He'll be replaced by the 27th. And by the way, again, this is why other ciphers matter outside of the base ciphers. He's the 26th. In septenary, Saturn is 26. That matters. Saturn is considered God to the occult. The word God has the gematria of 26 in Hebrew and in English. That's why there's a 26-letter alphabet. So, number 26 resigns during the time of Saturnalia by the numbers. And don't forget that the day we announced the withdrawal from Syria, the day prior, December 19th, that was Trump's 27th week of being 72 years old on the nose. And Syria has the gematria of 72 and 27. And then the next day you get the riddle with Mad Dog Mattis, another 27. And if you want to get even more technical, notice Mad Dog is 68 years old. The most important planet, notice with the alphabetic order there, that planet 68, the most important planet to the occult is Saturn, planet 68. The number also matters to Donald Trump. His Secret Service name is Mogul. He's the apprentice, apprentice 68, Donald John Trump 68. And the way he signs his author name, Donald J. Trump, when you flip the alphabetic order around, also 68. So, what else? Did a couple videos on Ruth Bader Ginsburg yesterday. The one piece that I neglected is that, again, this happened during the time of Saturnalia. She became a Supreme Court justice in 93. Saturn, big number, 93 with the alphabetic order. And Saturn, to the occult, the belief is that it used to be the sun for the Earth. Think about how they say the sun is 93 million miles away. Saturn's the only planet with the gematria value of 93. You know, Saturn believed to be the old sun of Earth, the most distant planet to the naked eye. Then, of course, if you missed the riddle with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they discovered she had cancer November 7th. You know, imagine having, you know, being wealthy and a Supreme Court justice and having access to doctors. Imagine it being discovered that you had, you know, these cancerous nodules in your lungs and then waiting 44 days to remove them. Why would they ever do that? Again, because it's all ritual, it's all made up propaganda. From the date of the discovery of the cancer to the date of the removal, 44 days later, cancer, chemo, and kill, all 44. Plus yesterday had a life lesson number of 44. And again, Justice Scalia, the last active member of the Supreme Court to die, died on the 44th day of the year, February 13th. What a coincidence. Check out yesterday's video. There's quite a few more riddles, but to not be too redundant, we'll skip over it. If you missed the video I put out earlier this week, the Gatwick airport closure in the UK due to the drone chaos, that story emerged on the 19th. Chaos equals 19. The Masonic motto is order out of chaos. I said, just wait until they come out with the person who's to blame. Well, now they've come out and they said it was a man and a woman. They haven't put out their names. They just said a man and a woman. They said a 47-year-old man and a 54-year-old woman. And show you everything that's comical about this. Actually, let's just start here in case you missed the prior post. We'll do this real quick. They reported when this news broke here in the US, they let us know that the airport had been shut down for 19 hours beginning on the 19th. And that's the big chaos numbers we talk about every month. The name of the airport, Gatwick, has gematria overlap with Masonic in all 4 base ciphers. London, Gatwick, Masonic, also nice overlap. Modern Freemasonry began in the year 1717 in London. Mason equals 17 in the most pure cipher. That's the dark blue one. Modern Freemasonry in 1717. By the way, it began June 24th, 1717. 6 plus 24 plus 17. Date with 47 numerology. The Freemasons have the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. Foundation's 47. Notice foundation's also 119 because the foundation of all things is time. Time's 47. And as we talked about, Saturn is the keeper of time. Saturn does have the gematria of 119 as well. Anyway, this whole Gatwick thing, a perfect ritual. It caused this major inconvenience during the holiday travel following the 74 theme, just using the alphabetic order. Holiday 74, so is Jewish, so is Masonic, so is gematria, so is English. Again, this practice of coding numbers into words is gematria. It's a Masonic practice, and it's adopted from the Jewish mysticism Kabbalah. This travel inconvenience comes during the time of Christmas for most travelers. Christmas to celebrate the birthday of Jesus. Notice with the alphabetic order. Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables, all 74. They blamed it on drone pilots, gematria of 147, like Freemason, like conspiracy. And this news broke on a date with a life lesson number of 42. Freemasons 42. This was a major inconvenience in time. Saturn also has the gematria of 42. The most important thing in outer space, 42. Again, it's all about time. A lot of people lost their time, their travel plans over this inconvenience, which no doubt was a planned ritual carried out by our governments. And the reason they do this is so that they can say, see, there's people out there that would mess up your life if the government wasn't here to keep you safe and secure and things in order. You know, this is why they do it. Meanwhile, what it really is the government manipulating your life, creating excuses for why they need to exist. That's what's really going on. So they come out and they say here, a man and a woman have been arrested on suspicion of the criminal use of drones at Gatwick following several days of disruption at Britain's second busiest airport. The 47-year-old man and 54-year-old woman were arrested in Crawley. That reminds me a lot of Crowley, as in Aleister Crowley, who worshiped the number 93 in his occult religion, Thelema. But again, 47, I'm always explaining how significant this number is in propaganda. I have a campaign called What is 47? There's merchandise for sale in the description of videos. T-shirts, hats, mugs, they all say, what is 47? If you can just get people to ask that question, what is 47? They're not going to have to wait but a day or two before they start seeing 47 just pop up in news story left and right, because it's always there when you're aware of it. It is a signature of the Freemasons, who have a logo, a capital G with instruments of geometry around it. The compass is set at 47 degrees. It's in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. And again, has to do with a lot. We just talked about how foundation equals 47, time equals 47. Government is 47. Authority is 47. In DC, a city designed by Freemasonry, DC's 47. Everything over here is 47. President's 47. White House is 47. Republicans 47. Democrats 47. Named Trump's 47. He was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the election. Obama took office at 47. But it's the same thing worldwide. These numbers get used again and again in these rituals. With regards to 47 having to do with time, the tropics of this earth, Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, they're 47 degrees apart. They measure the solstices, the measurement of the sun. Sun's 54. They said the man was 47, the woman was 54, right? The other thing about these numbers is if you add 47 plus 54, it equals 101. 101. And if you've read my book, the first chapter is why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet? I show how significant 101 and 26 are. I encourage everyone to pick up my book and just read the first chapter. You'll get more than your money's worth. You'll know so much more about the English alphabet. But a big theme in that chapter is 101 and 26. 101, the 26th prime. The word chaos has this gematria of 19, like how it began on the 19th. It also has this gematria of 26. 26, 101, the 26th prime. They're blamed for the drone chaos, the man and the woman. Now, there's another thing here. There's another thing here. Oh, by the way, about 54, I should point out that Freemasonic has gematria 54. So does Jesuit order. A lot of overlap with the Jesuits and the Masons. But this part about man and woman. Notice man and woman with the alphabetic orders 113. Just like Scottish, as in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which has a lot of influence in the UK, the United States, France, and across the world. It's also the number of deception. Bava Kamal 113a in the Talmud says it's okay to lie to people who are not Jewish. And you will find this number coded in propaganda again and again and again and again, and it just never ends. 113. No. And with the 103 up on the board, don't forget about the whole ritual with Mad Dog Mattis this past week, too, 103 days after his birthday. Notice the 49, Washington's 49. You know, that's another topic there, but 113, such a number of deception. And you read the book, you will see what an amazing list of 113 there are in terms of things that have to do with lying. It is just, it'll blow your mind. And you can even search my blog and find that long list too, but it's all in one place in the book. And if you get the book, the thing is, you'll never lose it. My blog's been taken down before. I had to fight Google to get it reinstated. I'm on my 18th YouTube channel. You know, if you get the book, you have all this knowledge and it's safe. If you don't have the book, you run the risk of, oh, shoot, where's Zach's channel? It's gone again. Oh, shoot, where's Zach's blog? It's gone again. How am I going to remember all this stuff? You're not. But if you get the book, it's all there. And you'll just see what's already in the book. All the patterns are explained because it's just the same stuff again and again in circles. Man and woman also has gematria 58. What did I say from day one? You know, the Freemasonry signatures were all over this. Freemasonry's 58. Secret Society's 58. Rosicrucian's 58. Solomon's Temple. Big long list of 58 in the book. All the things that have to do with Freemasonry. And then they made these arrests of the man and woman unnamed over the drones that inconvenienced thousands of flyers, probably millions of people, really. I'm sure it screwed up flights all over the world. On December 21st, what's 12 plus 21? 33, right? 12 plus 21, 33. They were flying the drones, 33. You know, the big number with Masonry, Masonry 33, Secrecy 33, Order 33, England 33, the home of modern Freemasonry. The other thing about winter solstice, in light of the Scottish Rite coding, is winter solstice has this 187 value, like ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. 187. Again, the 187 gets its significance from the Torah, which is 187 chapters long. So it's It's another day of thorough propaganda by the numbers, and the weakest Saturnalia is always full of it. And I hope with this explanation, it clears some things up about some questions you might have. What you need to understand is worldwide, this is how governments operate. English is the language of the world. That's why English is used as the code across the world. It is the language of the New World Order. Absolutely. So we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Be sure to pick up the book. It's linked in the description of every video. It's on sale for just $5. Come read the reviews. Actually, there was a review put up this morning that I want to comment on. I don't appreciate this review. They gave it 5 stars, but this person wrote, very good info and a great read, but not for starters. That's completely false. Because they write this, not for starters, or you will definitely get confused. False, false, false. You have to at least learn the very basic of numerology in order for you to enjoy this book. False, false, false. It's all completely false, this comment. The book is written for beginners. You get a beginning introduction to numerology very early in the book. The book's over 800 pages. It's the 5th chapter, which is near the front of the book, where you learn about what each number means. The book just walks you through as if you knew nothing about this. So the book is entirely written for beginners. I imagine the person who left this comment is just trying to sabotage things. And I noticed this week, Etsy, it seemed that it was fixed this morning, but for a lot of the week, if you searched for my book on Etsy, it wouldn't come up in their database. Don't forget, Etsy's run out of Brooklyn, New York, you know, the neighborhood of the false ones. But anyway, this comment is so false. And I hope people will come and leave reviews and bury this comment, because it makes me mad, really. The book is entirely written for beginners. If you know nothing about this knowledge, you'll get up to speed real fast. You know, walks you through in baby steps. And even if you've been with me for all 5 years, you'll still learn a ton reading the book, things that I've never covered before. So come read the other reviews. That's the first review that ever states anything like that, and it is entirely false. But we will leave it there. Until next time, Truth Seeker.